how do I edit my short form video content so it's actually engaging? The first thing to know about is your main sequence. For your viewers, pauses and space for breathing is boring. So what I recommend doing, split your sentence at the beginning and the end of each sentence. Do this and it's already going to be 10 times more watchable. Next, we want to add movement to our video. I want to introduce you to the static zoom. Select your clip, press on the video preview, and literally just pinch and zoom. Now here's where you may get scared. Keyframes. But I promise they are so much easier than you think. I like to use keyframes at the beginning and the end of my video to give the effect of a slow zoom. Here's how. Super simple. Click a point at the beginning of your clip and then hit this little diamond button. Move to the end of your clip, select it, and do the exact same thing. Move back to the preview screen, pinch and zoom, and if you watch your clip back, you will have a slow zoom. Now, the most important thing for me and everybody else in the world is visual elements on screen. And you'll do this by adding overlays. Download images, videos, GIFs, stickers, and just drag and drop them onto your timeline. You can add animations coming in or out, and you can also get really creative and layer them. Remember that a lot of people actually watch their videos with the sound off. So just put a little bit of effort into your visuals and people are gonna be so much more engaged. The final touch is audio, which will bring your video together perfectly. You can add sound effects like clicks, pops, pings, glitter noises, throughout your video, maybe in sections where the scene changes or you've added an overlay on screen and you want to animate it that little bit more. And music, as we all know, is literally the deciding factor of what the energy of a video will feel like. So don't rush through this step, is the one thing I'll say. Moral of the story is to have fun with your video content. And if you're watching this like, okay, cool, but how can I actually implement this consistently? Hey, hello. Welcome to another video. I'm back with a short one this week. New pajamas on. I am incredibly late. As we all know, if you've been watching my old videos, my commitment for the next 365 days for the full year is to post one YouTube video a week. I have had another insanely busy week. I don't want to be making excuses for myself, but I've been filming so much long form content for my course. I've got 12 lessons to film. They're all 60 to 90 minutes in length when edited down. So I'm sitting down talking for probably like 2.5 hours per lesson. So I've got a hell of a lot of content to film and edit down. I need to make slides, yada yada yada. So there's just a lot of stuff going on that's like long form. My short form I'm still being consistent with, and I'm actually putting more out now than I probably ever have in the past on a consistent basis. But it's obviously easier. It means like it's a shorter window of things that I have to film in one go and also edit. So I am late. I am one day late on this YouTube video. Last night I realized that the day was over. I received this message from an absolute angel who follows me and clearly subscribes on YouTube, and it was the exact kick up the ass that I needed to hear on a Sunday night when my YouTube video was delayed and not even filmed yet. So mini checking complete. Now into the actual saucy bit of the video. During our intro, I shared this video. This was the exact video that I shared on Instagram and TikTok. Everybody loved it. There was so many comments, so many questions. This is the exact editing workflow that I follow for myself and for all of my clients every single time, both for short form and long form. However, knowing all of what you now know of the little steps in between of like everything that you need to do for the rough cut, for the images, the overlays, for sound, how can we actually do it so that it feels achievable, maintainable, and to actually do it in a way that will make us consistent? That is what I want to talk about now. Some tips, some mini hack on how I make editing feel not stressful and more enjoyable. Hack number one, whether I'm editing short or long form content, I will always be listening to myself during the editing process at full speed. If you hit the L key on your computer, it automatically, once you're playing your footage, speeds it up. I think it speeds it up by like 1.5 or 2 times the normal speed. And it is a little fast. Yes, I will admit. You can hit it twice and it will go even faster, but that is too fast to listen through, in my opinion. One, this saves you so much time, literally double the time of you actually listening in normal speed and working through a rough cut, especially perfect if you are someone who repeats their sentences, maybe has a lot of breaks in between things, if you're thinking about concepts that you you actually want to talk about, maybe whether you're actually saying a lot of filler words. It's really good to just listen through things. I think the main point being, if you're repeating your sentences, if you're working through a script, if you're taking long breaks in between, and then at least if you're saying your sentence 3 times, you can listen through in speed of like 1, 2, 3. And then if you actually listen back again, if you really want to, just to make sure that you're sure, you might find that the second time that you said it is the best time. Whereas when you're listening in normal speed, 3 sentences over and over again, your mind starts to go a little bit numb because it all sounds the same. So that is the best thing that honestly makes the editing process feel actually enjoyable for me, especially now that I'm editing down my course videos. That I edited lesson 2, which was 2 hours and 13 minutes of unedited footage. And a lot of it is like, you know, me thinking about what I'm saying, taking a break and like saying something, realizing that I didn't say it very clear, saying it again. If I had to listen through that all in normal speed, it just wouldn't happen. This is my best hack. I'm sure probably a lot of you do this, but I actually only started doing it maybe like 6 months into my career of fluffy socials, of editing for clients. I hope that you enjoy that one. Source number 2 is going to be down to your actual overlays and like the things that you overlay on screen as images. Everybody is going to feel a little bit different about this. You may have certain restrictions on like what you actually can put on your screen depending on like what you're talking about. In terms of the copyright sphere, you could be super duper chill in terms of like what you're using. You could be using images from Pinterest, you know, screenshotting people's TikToks, like to, you know, in order for you to like reference things that you're talking about. This could even be down to like if you're talking about like a pop star, a celebrity, like all these kind of things, because obviously we're exposed to everything that we see online anyway. So it feels like a normal thing to be able to just like screenshot it and reference it as an image within our video. However, the other scale of like the copyright sphere, some people, some creators are very, very cautious of what they share because they don't want to be penalized by any platform for using images, videos that they actually don't have the rights to. Because, you know, as an editor, I will always ask the people that I edit for to see if they have any preference on this. A lot of the people that I edit for generally don't care. They're like, it's fine, grab anything from Pinterest. Especially for myself, I use so many memes, and you know, there's so many meme accounts on Instagram that are literally just like the same memes regurgitated back and forth. So I think it's quite a common thing for a lot of people to do. There's a lot of creators that will make TikToks, you know, maybe talking about like morning routines or hair care routines, and then they'll actually be stitching other creators' videos, or like screen recording, screenshotting other creators' videos that are similar, etc., etc. I think you kind of get where I'm getting at. So I think that's something that you probably need to question yourself. What's important for you? Also do your own research. You could literally just talk to like AI, talk to ChatGPT, or I use Claude as an AI tool, and just like see the legislations are for like the kind of content that you're creating. Generally for myself, I'm really, really loose. Pull a lot of like my general imagery and overlays from Pinterest, some from Google, the search like engine for Google when finding images. It doesn't get the girly cutesy vibe that I want to be getting with my content. So sometimes for clients, I will get stuff from Google. However, if you definitely need and want to have at least a source for copyright-free imagery, I've got 2 really good sources for you. I use these every single day with my clients, with myself. One is called Death to Stock. They are so cool. It's basically a platform where creatives, artists will upload their work. A lot of it is like creative shoots, like photo and video shoots, and they'll upload them onto the site, and people, you know, like us, like me and you, can just download them and use them totally for free. I pay a subscription for Death to Stock. I think I pay like 20 euros a month. For me, it's worth it because I use it every single day. I also have someone that works in my team who is an editor, so she's also got access to it. So we both use it religiously, and it's really, really good. I think like I would love, personally, if I'm being totally honest, I would love if they had some more options on there. I'm sure as they get busier and more popular, they will. But there's so many of my favorite creators who are actually like doing ads for them, and like it's just fun to see different types of creators using the tool in fun different ways. So I think, you know, do a little bit of searching. I think you also can get a free trial. This obviously is not sponsored. This is just like a pure honest recommendation. It's not very specific in terms of like their search engine. You can't search being like woman crying on her phone scrolling. Like that probably isn't gonna give you anything to come up with. If you just search like phone, woman, working, things like that will probably like come up and give you options, but it's just not as detailed, not as specific specific, and that's fine. I think just have a little scroll. You can also save things and add them into like favorites folders, and I use it all the time. It's really, really, really good. The second alternative to copyright-free photos videos site is called dupephotos.com.
I'm just gonna go change my top.
Hi Woo! This is Rue. I found out about this because a client uses it. She is a client who is very, very particular and cautious about like the imagery that she uses, because she just wants to be sure that it's all copyright free, and it's really, really good. I would say this is probably closer to Pinterest if you are someone who wants to make that transition to using more copyright free stuff and you already get your stuff right now from Pinterest. This is a really good alternative. I think if you're like a beauty, fashion, lifestyle, I guess like kind of like businessy creator, if you're a girl essentially, I haven't looked up like a lot of like the male kind of like dominated things, you know, just more boy-y stuff, because I'm definitely a girl's girl with how I communicate the style that I kind of make things in. There may be options for you boys out there, but there's definitely like, it feels like quite a girl's space. Yeah, quite like cozy, soft girl core, and that is free. Music to our ears. Please, if anyone's watching and you actually have another source for like a really good copyright free image video site, please, please, please comment below, because I think we all would love to know. To be honest, because those two are kind of enough for me, I haven't done my own research into seeing if there are others. I'm sure there probably are. So yeah, let us know what you're using. Next tip, while we're on the topic of copyright free stuff, let's talk about music. I only will give you one recommendation for this. I use Epidemic Sound. I started using Epidemic Sound 2 years ago for my other YouTube account. And before this, I used to use one called Thematic, which I just heard of through like a recommendation. I used it pretty religiously for a couple of years while I was creating on YouTube. Thematic was fine. I still think that I paid for it, or maybe it was free. I can't fully remember at the time. This was a few years ago. The only problem with Thematic when I was using it, for any song that you use, you have to copy and paste the link, like the URL link of the song in your YouTube description. So sometimes it would be quite easy to forget the songs that you're using, and maybe like, I don't know, for whatever reason you pasted the wrong link in your description. They were pretty good with like emailing and being like, oh, by the way, like you forgot to put your link in, like add your link in before it's the fan. That's an option. It could be a free option if you want to look into it. They definitely had a good variety of like types of different like songs and music and stuff. However, now I'm going to bring you back to like current Mia. I use Epidemic Sound and it is sensational. I cannot even begin to tell you about the variety of options of like different types of genres, styles, like instrumental, like, you know, like voice, like actual like singing, all the different types of genres that you could ever possibly imagine, and like the options don't run out. It is incredible for like searching like the type of mood or the type of like vibe you wanna, I guess, like find in terms of like a song. Oftentimes for like short form videos, there can be some clients that we edit for where they'll need to have like a very emotional, like a song that feels like it's building to something, and you can literally just look up build, journey, or like emotional, like stuff like that. And then you can also like click in to find songs that are similar to it. If you like a certain song, you can add your own playlist. Other perk to having Epidemic Sound is that there is a sound effects like tab. So if there's a really specific sound effect that you want to find and look for, it's also a really good source for finding sound effects. I will say though, it's better for like longer sound effects. CapCut is where I edit from. It's the best place, in my opinion, to find sound effects conveniently and save them. The only issue with like, you know, if you're going to get all your sound effects externally to CapCut as an editing tool, if that's what you're using, so far that I know, it's impossible to download a sound effect externally and import it so that it's in your CapCut forever, because that's the issue. Like if you're editing a video for yourself and, you know, you find this sound effect that you really like, and then you go to edit a video next week, it's really hard to find that sound effect again. You know, it probably means that you're going to go back into Epidemic Sound, like, well, search for the sound effect, download the sound effect, add it in, and then you'll just be in a repeatable cycle. Sound effects for me, I still use CapCut sound effects. I know that there are obviously a lot of creators who use different editing softwares, so I would still love to know, where are you getting your sound effects from and how are you using them on like a regular basis? Because there are definitely still loads of sound effects that I don't know, like that I still haven't found yet. But yeah, I think sound effects wise, CapCut is still the best. But music, Epidemic Sound. I think I definitely pay for Epidemic Sound, but I think I pay like maybe like 20 euros, under 20 euros a month for that subscription. But again, it's worth it. I use it every single day. A little bit on color adjusting. I don't want to say color grading because I don't want to be outed by the color grading professionals out there in the world. This is something that I learned to do on CapCut, and it's genuinely like changed my life in terms of like what my content looks like. And I think there are still a lot of people out there who don't actually do this, you know, with their content that they're editing, and it could just be a really useful option for you to do. Definitely really useful if you film with a camera, like, you know, a proper big camera, or with like a DJI. Less useful if you film on an iPhone, because I think generally the colors on the iPhone, they still pick up the colors really well, but it's still an option. There's still some clients for me that film with an iPhone and they still want like a little bit of like touching up with the color, just to like bring a little bit of life back to it. If you for whatever reason feel like you would benefit from it and you want to figure out how to spice your color up, it's really easy. So all you have to do when you go on CapCut, upload your video. You can even do all your cuts to your rough cut and click on any of the clips of like your main video. Go to the right hand section and then there'll be a little tab called adjustments, and then in there's like, I think there's a basic tab, there's also a HUV tab, and those are like the main ones that I use. Under basic, I'll go down, I'll maybe like bring the contrast down, I'll bring the saturation up 1 or 2 only, and then I'll also like play around with the rest of them to see if I want like the whites brighter, or like, you know, the shadows kind of like, you know, pared back or whatever. One thing that I have started doing since I've been filming on the DJI, I've been bringing my sharpness level up, just because it makes the quality that little bit crispier. That's mostly what I do in the basic tab. On the HUV, I think it's HUV tab, that is where you can basically select the different colors that you want to, I guess, saturate more or bring the colors down. It's really genius. When I film on my big camera, because I film in a space where there's so much color, like there's lots of greens because of my plant, there's lots of art, so there's lots of like pinks and oranges that come up. So I play around with those specific colors. I turn the saturation like mostly the full way up, and it just makes my videos look so much more brighter, poppier, fun and engaging, and it just feels like me. Whereas like the before is always just a little bit dead looking, especially with my DJI camera. Like the DJI footage is also very gray, very plain, very simple. So what I do with my DJI settings, done it slightly differently to what I would normally do with the bigger camera. I actually kind of like darken the video, and I find that looks a little bit cuter. Yeah, it's a really fun thing to do with your footage if you're not already doing it, and CapCut makes it really easy and really, like, you know, realistic. I think even the term color grading for me, and I'm a video editor, color grading, the word sounds terrifying because of how intense all these professional editors out there be talking about color grading. Final note on color adjustments on CapCut is you can save presets. That is just genius. You're not going to have to do it over and over again. Say if you want to create a color preset for your DJI camera, then maybe one for your iPhone, and then if you have another camera that you film with, create a preset for that. You could create a preset if you're filming outside, maybe if you're filming indoors, just so you have all these available options. And then all you have to do whenever you're filming with that camera and in that setting, drag and drop it from your adjustments tab down onto your timeline, extend it all the way over, and boom, that's like your color done. So it's not something that you have to do every time at all. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, because I'm just literally spitballing here with you guys. There's no planning that went into this video. There's no planning that goes into any of my YouTube videos, which actually feels very freeing and very calm. To be honest, I'm gonna leave it there. There's definitely loads more tips if I actually think about them. Those are some tips, some hacks that have genuinely really improved the way that I am creating content to make it feel achievable and like enjoyable in the process. On like consistency and like planning and organization, I'm definitely gonna have to do a whole video on that, because there's a whole system that goes into like how I plan my content and how I keep it organized throughout the month. But for like the editing process, that is my plan. That is like my step-by-step workflow. Editing the clips, doing my captions, adding any images, fixing my sound, also the color adjustment layer, and then I export. If you're wondering about my export setting, for short form content, I export in 180p with these settings. And then for long form content, I export in 4K with the exact same settings. Super simple. I would love to hear what you do, if there's anything you do differently, or if there's anything specific that you actually still want to learn that I didn't clear up in this video because all ears, weekly videos, we have so much time together, so much love. I actually really enjoy talking a little bit about like the nitty-gritty editing stuff. So this is definitely something I want to do more. I hope that you enjoyed this fun, weird video, and we'll see you here next week, next Sunday, I promise.